guys, so today I'm going to be doing this cherry blossom face paint. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to subscribe. So the first thing that I did was actually start drawing out the petals. Now for this, I did look at a picture of an actual cherry blossom, and I noticed that at some angles they kind of look like their two petals are kind of one, but then some of them also have like spaces, so they're not all completely packed in together. So if you want to go for something a little more realistic, I would definitely look at a picture to kind of get a better idea of what I mean. But just remember, depending on how real you want this to look is going to depend on what type of picture you want to have as a reference. Now I decided to go with 3 of them. One of them is covering my eyebrow, which was not the greatest idea because I have really dark eyebrows. So if you're going to do this or have it kind of go into your hair, I would suggest just going over that spot a couple times just to make sure you can get it as white as possible, because with darker hair it is a lot harder. Now for the inside middle part, I did go in with a pink body paint and just kind of placed it on there, and then I took a little bit of just clean water, very little amount of water on my brush, and I just started blending out that pink, and it actually helped make it a little bit more realistic, because with the cherry blossoms that I was looking at, they were mostly white and then they had pink diffusing into it, so it wasn't like a stark pink. And then just to give it a little bit more depth, I mixed the smallest amount of black with that pink, and I just put that in the middle and blended it out a little bit just to give it the illusion of depth. And then, like I said, I went and I made sure that everything was super blended by just having a tiny bit of water on my brush just to kind of reactivate the body paint, so that way I can blend it out. I took a little bit of a gray body paint mixed with a lot of white just to give kind of the illusion of a shadow, because if you want anything to look realistic, it does have highlights and shadows. And then for the, I don't know what they're called, the little stem things, that doesn't make any sense, but you know what I'm talking about, where the pollen comes out. I used some white body paint and I just painted those in, again looking at my reference picture. And then for the actual little dots, I painted them in with a little bit of yellow, and for this I would suggest using the thinnest brush that you have, because that will make your life a lot easier, because you don't want this to be super thick. It's just supposed to be like the little, I'm gonna figure out what those are called. I'm gonna figure it out. And like I said before, you would go in with a little bit of the yellow and do little dots, and you would also go in with a little bit of the white and a little bit of the gray mixed in with a lot of the white, and just create shadow anywhere that you feel like there should be shadow to make it look like the petals are a little bit more three-dimensional. But if you want this to look very artsy, very cartoony, I wouldn't do as much of that, but again, that's completely up to you. And then for the actual stems and the leaves, they're actually red. So I went in with some red body paint and I just created these stems, kind of connecting them. And then I just made some leaves, and then for the actual veining on the leaves, I used a little bit of black mixed in with the red, and then I made the little veins. And then for a little bit more shadowing to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional, I took a little bit of Naked from the Naked palette and just applied those anywhere that I felt that there would be shadow on the actual flower, like if it was literally on your face. So you can basically pick which direction you want your light source to come from and go with that. So if you want it to come from a different angle than what I did, then obviously your shadowing would be different. And that is the finished look. So if you guys like this, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to see what comes out of my channel next. And there is a link coming up in a couple seconds for some more videos and the makeup part to this look. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.